What is up, movie friends? Welcome back to the show. This is Anthony.
And this is James, and lots to cover this week. Tons of great news. Let's start off with box office. So Jungle Cruise premiered, and I think it's about 67% on Rotten Tomatoes last time I checked. It's estimated to hit a $32 million weekend. It had $13 million on its Friday opening, so that's a huge day for them. And then we have The Green Knight premiered last night, which we actually just, on Friday night, which we saw, and it was phenomenal. And we're going to do a little bonus episode on that soon. So that made, it made
$3 million on Friday.
I don't know what the budget is, but it's probably very low.
That budget looked like it was 15 to 20 million.
Yeah,
and
so
that's actually, hopefully they can make their money back. $3 million on a Friday means the whole weekend total is probably going to be about $7-8 million.
Yeah, it's a pretty slow weekend.
Yeah.
But it's a very nice weekend in a lot of states and everything. So
when a movie premieres, it's Friday total. You can pretty much add 2/3 to that, and that'll be its total box office.
Yeah, so Green Knight, it's going to estimate to hit about $7 million for the weekend. Old dropped down 70% from what they were hitting last week. So they had a $2 million Friday. They're estimated to hit about $7 million this weekend. But they've passed, I think, $30 million. So it's made its money back because that was an $18 million budget for M. Night.
Yeah, and he actually financed it himself like he has his last 4 movies. So he's going to make a ton of money. That's just domestic. So it's going to make more money internationally. That movie might make it looks like it'll end up making $100 million grand total, which will be a big hit for them.
Yeah, for that low of a budget. He's shooting on a beach, so
yeah, that's $60 million profit, straight profit. So
M.
that's
Night
good.
knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Then Stillwater, the Matt Damon film, came out and it made $2 million Friday, so they're estimating about a $5 million weekend for that. And Black Widow's still making $2 million on Friday, $6 million for the weekend, so it's still doing pretty well.
Yeah, I didn't expect Stillwater to make any money.
Yeah,
The trailer didn't hit that hard.
Yeah, we'll see. I'd be interested to see. It
looked like
good.
a more of a fall release,
Yeah.
but maybe it's not good enough for that.
COVID pushed everything back.
Yeah.
So, but speaking of Black Widow, I think the biggest piece of news is Scarlett Johansson and her lawsuit against Disney. So, apparently, Disney, it wasn't in the contract. They were going to release Black Widow digitally at the same time as in theaters. And since Scarlett Johansson was an executive producer on this film, she was going to be getting back end on it, which means on the profits, she was going to make a percentage of it, which is basically like what Chris Hemsworth and Robert Downey Jr. were doing with the Avengers. Downey made a ton of money off those back end profits.
Yeah, Downey ended up making like 60 mil, 70 mil a movie in terms of the Avengers movies because he had like a 5 or 6% back end gross percentage, and you can make a huge chunk of money. And she's already made, I think, $20 million, but it looks like if they had released it fully theatrically, she could have made probably another $20 million. So, she's definitely lost out on a big chunk of money.
It's too bad because it would have been great to see her get like the Robert Downey Jr. money for one of her Marvel films, which she deserves because she's been in so many of them. It's been a commitment of hers for the last 14 years. And so, she had to turn down plenty of roles that she wanted. But obviously, it was a very lucrative experience for her, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But still, I know the comments are like so back and forth and like all the fights on the internet about like, oh, she made $20 million. She's being selfish. Yeah, she made $20 million, but still it's part of her contract. She's got to get what she deserves.
Breach. Yeah.
It's a breach of contract apparently. And so they sent that out, and then Disney responded saying there's no merit whatsoever to this filing. The lawsuit is especially sad and distressing in its callous disregard for the horrific and prolonged global effects of COVID-19 pandemic. So Disney responded
with
like a
card.
low blow.
Victim card.
Disney playing victim card. Yeah, we know COVID's bad and it's locked down in the majority of economic industry in the entire world, but still, they open up their parks.
Yeah.
So it's not like
they knew that ScarJo wasn't going to get any percentage of the Disney Plus streams, so they knew that was going to happen. And they could have, if they had the foresight to actually want to help her and make it a fair deal, they could have renegotiated when they came out with the streaming concept.
Yeah, I think it made over $70 million on digital streams, I think. So why not give her a cut of that?
Yeah.
Why not have that part of the contract as well? And then ScarJo's team responded saying that they have shamelessly and falsely accused Ms. Johansson of being insensitive to the global COVID pandemic in an attempt to make her appear to be someone and I know she isn't. So this is pretty wild.
It's a family battle right
It's
there.
insane, but you know what? I don't care. It doesn't, you could say you're on either camp, but I'm in the camp of like ScarJo deserves to get paid for this. She was the executive producer on it. She was counting on that back end to, finally have like a female action star make what Robert Downey Jr. was making as Iron Man,
Yeah. And also Disney, they know what they're doing. When you stream a movie and have your audience pay for it through the streaming service, you're not sharing the profit with anyone. When a movie comes out in theaters, they're sharing the profit with the theater owners and the distributors. So it gets split. Whereas just streaming on Disney Plus, Disney gets all of the profits. So it's clearly like they made a decision, let's make as much money as we can for ourselves and not include anyone else in this.
I wouldn't even say it's just about making money and profit. It's also about strengthening the brand of Disney Plus, because that was the biggest release for Disney Plus since they really dropped it during COVID. It's like the biggest Marvel movie since Spider-Man, but Spider-Man was theatrical, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you could say that it was more important for getting people to subscribe to Disney Plus than anything.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's a pretty wild story. I don't remember the last time anything this big has happened in terms of a lawsuit between an A-list actor, a huge name, versus a mega corporation. And don't forget, everybody, Disney is a mega corporation. That's all they care about is making money.
They're a monolith corporation, one of the 5.
So let's not give too much sympathy for Disney.
And I think that Scarlett Joe has a chance to win this case for sure.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming they offered her a settlement and it was probably too low, because why would they probably like, hey, here's $5 million. She's like, I want my $30 million.
Yeah.
Come on.
She was probably expecting to make $50 million.
I'd assume so. Yeah, for sure. And especially it's her last time as the character, so she's like, I'm going on guns blazing. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. I was the highest paid actress last year. Let's put that to good use. All right. Next up, we have the House of Gucci. They released posters and the trailer, and it looks really interesting, especially Jared Leto's character, unrecognizable.
Yeah, he plays Paolo Gucci, and this movie, I don't know the story, but one of them was murdered.
So Lady Gaga, she plots the murder
Not
of
lady herself, but
her character. She plots the murder of her ex-husband, who's played by
Adam Driver,
and he was the grandson of the original Gucci. So at one point, he was the head of Gucci.
Oh wow!
But I don't know why she did it until we get into the movie.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be probably intense motivation for her to do that. Maybe taking control of the company.
Trailer looks cool.
Stacked cast. Ridley Scott going ham this year with this in the last duel. It's going to be a great year.
The accents are pretty solid. Lady Gaga's is pretty good.
Yeah, in Adam Driver's accent's pretty good. But it's just an amazing cast, and I can't wait to see it. It's a very cool story. It looks like.
Yeah, it's wild because Ridley has 2 movies coming out this year. He's got that in the last duel. So this guy's been so busy. He's what, 82, and he's still
up there. Yeah,
he's like almost Clint Eastwood territory. Still turning out movies every year.
I think the last duel was supposed to come out last year.
Yeah,
I believe.
Okay, so the COVID pandemic caused like all these delays. That's why it's like ironic. Like Hans Zimmer could have done Tenet and he could have done Dune, but I mean, you don't have.
And also Ludwig did a great job.
You don't have prescience.
Yeah.
Prescience.
One of the weirdest stories that I think is complete BS, and you think so too, is that Netflix is courting Chris Nolan to make movies.
Total BS, dude.
Because like he and Tarantino and PTA, like they do not want their movies released digitally on streaming services. They want to be in theaters, and so it doesn't make any sense that Netflix would be actually courting him, and that they would be like he would be like really interested in it.
It's clickbait. That's all it is. That's all. 89 to 100%. Let's say like 95% of anything you see online, majority of it is clickbait.
Maybe even more.
And it's total BS until you actually get into the article and do your own research, because Chris Nolan left Warner Brothers because they were releasing their movies digitally because of obviously during COVID that happened last year. So yes, I mean the story, if you actually look into it, is Netflix is trying to make Chris Nolan's next movie. Of course, who wouldn't want to do that? But that doesn't mean that Chris Nolan's having negotiations with them.
They probably sent an email to his agent.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
There's no freaking way that Nolan will make a movie that will be released digitally. Exactly. Mark my words, it's 100% never going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Of all the directors, of everyone, it's like him and Tarantino will never do a digital release.
The only deal that would ever make sense for him was that is if Netflix helps finance a project of his and they retain the licensing rights to keep it on Netflix from then on after it gets through a theatrical release.
But no digital release at all. So I'm saying, like, I'm not saying that it's not possible that he won't work with Netflix, but there's no way he'll work with Netflix and it'll be released digitally while it's in theaters. So it will only be a theatrical release for his movies forever.
Exactly.
That's the way he is. Oh, there's a Pokemon live action series in development at Netflix.
Let's go.
Let's do this. And I just want to see like Ash Ketchum going out training Pokemon on his journey to becoming the greatest Pokemon trainer.
The very best.
How cool would that be?
It would be epic.
Live action movie of the TV show of the series.
And because the movie was so great, Detective Pikachu, I am really looking forward to this. And
I
actually have never seen Lucifer, but I don't think it's the best show from what I've seen from ratings. But
it's a Netflix production, bro.
Yeah. I mean, it's a Netflix production, but we'll see. I mean, hopefully they stay true to the lore. You know how much we love that intense lore.
Dude. They should just take the cartoon animated series and just make that into live action.
Yeah, Brock,
Give me Misty and Squirtle and everybody. The crew,
Yeah.
Pikachu being a punk.
Just traveling through the land, beating other trainers in their gyms.
I would love to see an
collecting
episode.
badges.
I would love to see an episode of like Ash just fighting and messing up Pidgeots and Caterpies just to get his Pokemon and his Pikachu to like higher levels.
An epic like training montage.
Yeah, they could probably do a lot of cool things like that if you like look at the Game Boy version of training your Pokemon and just destroying Metapods all day.
Totally. But I hope it's the original trio, Ash, Misty, and Brock. That would be great. Just to see like Onyx too. Like,
Dude,
it would be
so BA.
Geodude. Oh my god.
Going to all the gyms.
Yeah, just follow exactly the storyline of the cartoon.
Pewter City, let's go.
They already have it written. Like, just film it. And a new trailer came out this past week, which I really liked. It's called King Richard, and it stars Will Smith, and it tells the story of Venus and Serena Williams, their childhood and their training into becoming tennis stars, and follows also their father, Richard, who was their father/coach. And the trailer looks fantastic.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it.
It's the best role that Will looks like he's done in years. And like I feel like Will's taken a bit of a hiatus like the last 5 years. He hasn't been in anything like
Just Gemini Man.
Yeah, too like dramatic or like showcasing his immense talent as an actor. And obviously I think COVID, he took like a year and a half off. He's just been living his life, enjoying everything.
He's been doing a lot on social media.
Yeah, so he's
building a
huge on-
brand.
his YouTube is like enormous. Like
He's building a gigantic brand.
he's like the biggest influencer out there, but he's also Will Smith, which is so cool. But it's awesome to see him take on such a great looking role, and he looks awesome in it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. Looks like he might finally win his Oscar. He looks that good in it.
I mean, it's wild he doesn't have one.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We got the new Shang-Chi and Legend of Ten Rings like featurette and posters, and it looks like a pretty cool movie. The action sequences look awesome. The kung fu martial arts looks pretty dope. Like the scene of him that they showed of him fighting on that bus or train. It's pretty
looks
cool.
like a bus, yeah.
Looks pretty badass.
Yeah, the action looks very different from what Marvel usually puts out.
And apparently there's some sort of connections to Iron Man, I think. So it'll be interesting to see what this movie's going to be like.
Maybe like Tony Stark helped build the rings or something.
Maybe something to do with the Mandarin, that character. And even though it's a
gotcha.
facade in Iron Man lore.
Now
but
there's
maybe,
a real
maybe
Mandarin?
it's the real Mandarin. I think maybe his father might be that character.
Got
his
it,
father
got
plays
it.
like an evil lord that like took the power that their family was given and just used it for nefarious means.
Ah, looks cool.
All right.
Oh, next up we have the reviews for the Suicide Squad have been fantastic and phenomenal so far. It had 100% on Rotten Tomatoes for a while, then it just dropped down to like the mid 90s. So, and the reviews are all glowing. It seems like this is just like crazy, funny, ridiculous, like a good time superhero movie that is kind of rare nowadays.
Yeah, it's advertised like crazy all over the place. So whenever I see something on it, I try to look away or swipe away because I want to go into this movie as blind as possible because I don't want any of the jokes to be ruined or anything because I know it's going to be hilarious. I have a feeling it will be better than the Guardians movies, and those are some of my favorite Marvel films in general.
Yeah, because I think that blending the comedy with the looks like a rated R darkness and gore, I think it's going to be really lightning striking. And there's a new Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer that came out and actually looks good. I wasn't really sold on the first trailer, but this second trailer, it looks pretty epic. And Jason Reitman, who is actually Ivan Reitman's son, Ivan Reitman directed the first Ghostbusters, and so it's like a family affair now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so Jason took the helm in this one. And
That's so cool.
And his father also he was the nerdy Ghostbuster. I can't remember.
The guy with the glasses?
Yeah, exactly.
Put glasses on a very handsome man. He's nerdy automatically.
And this trailer, it looks actually pretty cool. It looks like they brought back the horror aspect, like Paul Rudd's running from one of the monster gargoyle guys, and it looks like the special effects are really cool. And I think that what they were missing in the last adaptation was it was just, they went too heavy on comedy, and it wasn't scary.
Yeah, they like got rid of the paranormal stuff.
Yeah,
that's
and-
what's cool about
and
it.
the key to Ghostbusters working is it was the comedy, but also it's pretty scary, especially
Dude,
the third act.
The original Ghostbusters is spooky as hell, and you're scared at points, like when you're going through the hallways of that giant like apartment complex and everything. It's scary.
There's some, and especially in the third act when what's his name gets brought to.
And he's possessed. It's dark.
It's super scary.
It's pretty
and
dark.
Those gargoyle monsters were terrifying. I remember being really scared as a kid, and I think that's what they were missing in the last adaptation. They just went for comedy and laughs.
And they threw Chris Hemsworth at the front desk. It's
exactly.
Like
But there was no scares at all. Whereas this one looks like they're bringing back the scares.
That's the whole point of it. I want to see some scary ghosts.
Yeah.
All right. And then we had Hawkeye first image released of Jeremy Renner and Haley Steinfeld. So I'm super curious about this show. And also Florence Pugh will be reprising her role as
She's hunting Hawkeye.
So she's gonna be hunting Hawkeye
Yelena.
from Black Widow as Yelena. So I'm curious to see like why she think they're gonna convince her that he killed her sister.
Well, they Because they were the last. He was the last person to see her alive.
No, I know, but still, wouldn't like all the Avengers be like, no, bro, like it was fine. Like,
yeah.
he didn't kill her. Like they had to get the Soul Stone.
Yeah, I guess she's just not gonna talk to anyone else.
Can't Falcon be like, yo, I sent you an email. Hey, it's an email from Falcon. Don't worry, Clint didn't do it.
Natasha saved him.
It was the Red Skull, bruh. She jumped off a cliff on her own accord, man. Trust me.
But Julie Louis-Dreyfus just says it, and she's like, okay, let's kill this guy.
Source, trust me, bro.
And then there's a new Predator coming out again, a new adaptation.
My God.
And,
it's an origin story. Of
Predator
course.
Origins.
Why do we need a Predator origin story?
He's not supposed to be the lead.
Predator Origins.
Is he gonna be? Are we gonna empathize with him? Is he gonna lose his wife?
He's gonna lose his little Predator baby.
He's gonna kill every human he sees. They're gonna make him the good guy.
Oh my God, I can't take the origin.
Predator, he can't be the lead. You can't show his origin. He has to be a movie monster that the characters are being hunted by. Like, it doesn't make sense to make him the lead character.
Maybe it'll be about when he lands and he takes out the first group of soldiers that in the original movie that Arnold and his squad find.
No, it's gonna be like The Shape of Water.
It's gonna be a romance drama.
He's gonna find a blind woman because you don't want to have to see that.
It's gonna be. I mean, I thought the last Predator was pretty cool. The one that Shane Black did.
Yeah, it was. No, I didn't think it was very cool.
I thought it was cool.
It was okay.
Like the Mega Predator.
It just didn't make any sense. Like, this super genius kid happens to be Boyd Holbrook's son, he's the only person that can help them out, and Boyd Holbrook happens to be involved in the Predators.
Hey man, sometimes you gotta shut your head off.
There's so many things that were just like, how is this all connected?
Just enjoy the action, bro. But this one, I don't know about it, man. I think it's gonna be taking a big L.
And also, it's called Skull, so...
Everyone's been still trying to make Batman Begins, and it's 2021, and that was 16 years ago. Everyone's still trying to make Batman Begins.
We're going to show Predator training. Pick this flower.
I mean, if you're going to do an origin story, just set it on his planet and just have a Predator war.
Yeah.
Predators versus Predators.
That sounds pretty cool.
You know what, guys? I mean, what studio's doing this? Who cares? You know,
it's Fox. They own it.
Whatever.
And also, like, the title of Skull, like, come on. It can't be called Skull. Call it Predator Skull or something. You gotta throw Predator in the name.
Laura. All right, there's a trailer for Mad God, which looks really cool. If you like stop motion films, this was done by Phil Tippett, and he's been working on this for a while. It looks really interesting. It's like very dark and action based. It's pretty interesting looking.
Yeah, it looks like a super gory rated R horror stop motion.
Yeah,
it looks pretty cool.
Pretty epic.
Never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
And apparently, M. Night Shyamalan had a meeting with Steven Spielberg after The Sixth Sense came out. He met with Spielberg, and they actually discussed Shyamalan writing the fourth indie movie. It never came to fruition, but I think that could have been interesting.
Yeah, they had him pitch ideas to them, so they're like, hey, come up with some ideas, let us know what you have. They had a couple meetings, and I guess they just didn't like the direction he was going in, or maybe it was a little too dark, but it's still pretty interesting that they were open to very creative writer and directors like M. Night, who have, just like we always say, these high concept ideas. But I think those probably just don't fit in the world of Indiana Jones.
What if Indiana lives on a farm and aliens start leaving marks in the cornfields?
And he's actually dead. Ready?
What the twist? Oh, now Annie Murphy, the star of Schitt's Creek, is going to be starring in a new comedy called Witness Protection from the Emmy-winning writers of Schitt's Creek. So she's gonna blow up. She's very funny in that show. She steals the show most of the time.
Yeah. We had the first image of Benedict Cumberbatch in Jane Campion's Western drama The Power of the Dog. It looks really interesting. It's a period piece set on a ranch, I think in the 1890s or something like that.
Yeah, take my money.
It's so great to see. You know, we love all these actors like Downey and Benedict and everyone who's in the Marvel films, but it's so great to see them, and even when he's Sherlock, but it's so fun to see him outside of the realm of franchises and working on like really interesting looking projects. So I love him as Sherlock, I love him as Doctor Strange, but like to see him as just a great acting performance outside of those franchises is so epic.
Yeah, and also Jane Campion is an excellent director. She's made some great shows. She's made some amazing movies and super, super talented director.
We got the first trailer for the the Card Counter, which stars Oscar Isaac and Tiffany Haddish, and this was from Paul Schrader. Also, Ty Sheridan has a supporting role in this as well. It looks really interesting because we love gambling movies. So it reminds me a lot of Rounders, but it's about this character who he goes to prison. I think he was in one of the wars in Iraq or Afghanistan, it looks like, and he came back and went to prison and took like a fall for something that happened there. And then in prison, he learned how to count cards, and he used that ability to, take on Vegas, it looks like.
Yeah, and Paul Schrader, he wrote Taxi Driver, and he's directed some really good movies, and his last big movie was First Reformed with Ethan Hawke, which was excellent. So this movie looks awesome.
First Reformed was a trip.
Yeah.
That's a cool movie.
It's an awesome movie.
Let's see, we got... Oh, this is a really cool idea. A Spotify Batman Unburied podcast. So I think people are starting, and studios are starting to get hip to the fact that podcasts are going to be here forever. Thanks for
competition.
Thanks for listening, everybody. But also that they're the most explosive media form out there. Even though they've been around for a decade about almost, like the early 2000 teens, they're getting bigger and bigger, and more people are looking to podcasts for entertainment, especially when they're driving, while they're at work, while they're working out. So it's such a exploding industry, and so now making like fictional stories about characters, it's really fascinating. I love the idea.
That's a really cool idea, and I think it's smart to hire David S. Goyer to write it because he's been so involved in DC and involved in the Batman franchise.
In the original Dark Knight trilogy, he was a big role, especially in Batman Begins and Dark Knight, for writing those with Chris Nolan. So it's gonna be cool. Winston Duke is voicing Batman.
Yeah, from Black Panther.
And Us.
Us, yeah.
So, the podcast I have a little description of it. So
let's hear it.
It's set to explore the darker aspects of Bruce Wayne's psychology, with iconic villains expected to make an appearance. When we meet Bruce Wayne, he's a forensic pathologist working in the bowels of Gotham Hospital and tasked with examining the victims of the Harvester, who is a gruesome serial killer and a new villain in Gotham. I think it's original to just this podcast now. And so it's going to be Batman facing his alter ego. Bruce with his alter ego Batman. It looks like a dark take, like the Batman's going to be kind of like a duality of the character while he's trying to stop and save the citizens of Gotham.
I wonder who's going to narrate it.
Yeah, so you think there'll probably be a narrator in general for the whole series?
Either Winston Duke will be point of view, first person, narrating it as it was written in the first person, or they'll have a narrator for the entire thing.
I'm guessing it'll probably be the first part.
I'm guessing they'll have a narrator.
All right, well, we'll find out.
We'll see.
We'll find out. Oh, and Jason Isaacs is Alfred.
Oh, that's very cool.
Great choice.
And if you remember, there's some Mandalorian news. If you remember, so when young Luke shows up at the end of Mandalorian season 2, spoilers, and he's the Luke at the age we're familiar with him after the Return of the Jedi, and the CGI of his face, it was just passable, barely passable, I would say. But this guy made a deep fake online where he used deep fake technology he helped write to make a new version of it, and it looked incredible.
He did several movies and shows with it.
Yeah, he's done a bunch of things, and he seems to be super talented. When all the ones I've seen seem like unbelievable, like so close to being real, it's hard to believe. And Lucasfilm actually hired him to work on the next season.
Why not? Good for you, Mr. YouTuber, whoever you are, and you got just hired by Disney. That's pretty wild.
You gotta be smart. Like I believe he wrote most of the code involved in the program that he used. So kudos to him for earning that spot.
And also, in addition to Green Knight with another A24 production, the Lamb trailer was revealed. The trailer was revealed, which stars Noomi Rapace in an Icelandic horror movie. And this movie looks wild. I love A24 because they just take so many swings at crazy stories. Like the Green Knight, wait till you see it. If you guys check it out, it's phenomenal. But Lamb looks insane.
Yeah, it's about this couple. They run a farm, and they're sheep herders, and then they discover this is all revealed in the trailer, so it's not spoilers. They discover that one of the lambs seems to be part human, part lamb, and it seems to be like they decide to raise it as a child because it's part human, and this seems to have some kind of conflict involved in terms of the sheep on the farm, and there seems to be like, I don't know, some kind of horrific psychological battle between them in some way. It looks really freaky and funny and weird, but like awesome.
Yeah, and like the conflict of, is it human? Is it an animal? And then like the sheep seem to like know what it is.
Or they want it back.
They want it. It seems like a maternal struggle between Noomi and then the sheep, like the matriarch of the sheep.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild looking.
Pretty crazy. And the new trailer for The Nighthouse, which is a new horror film starring Rebecca Hall, came out, and it looks very good. David Bruckner directed this, and it's another haunted house movie, but the cinematography looks cool. The atmosphere looks cool. The concept obviously has been done before, but maybe they have a new spin on it.
Yeah, and Rebecca Hall is a fantastic actress, so it'll be cool to see. No Time to Die, they're trying to get people interested in the movie again, so they released some teaser videos and some shootout stuff, some car chases, so I'm going into it as blind as possible. I didn't watch any of this stuff, but check them out. But also another thing, Black Adam apparently will use new technology to showcase Dwayne Johnson's superpowers. So they developed new technology for filming while flying. So it'll probably look different than Man of Steel, which I think was the best version of flying we've seen yet.
Oh, it must be cool wire work where he's able to maybe move on his own more freely. Because usually they're restricted.
Or, I mean, Dwayne Johnson's such a hard worker, he probably learned how to fly himself.
Wouldn't put it past him.
Focus!
Focus. And Waterworld is actually getting a TV adaptation now because everything's getting a TV adaptation with Dan Trachtenberg attached to direct. And he's actually been a director and cinematographer as well. And this is going to be set 20 years after the 1995 movie. I doubt Kevin Costner will star in it, but we'll see. Maybe he will.
It says they're following the characters, but I just bet they replace him.
Yeah, that would be an expensive show.
Yeah, we'll see. Taika Waititi, so he started developing a Flash Gordon animated movie 2 years ago, but he says that it's going so well that they just decided to make it live action. So I'm pretty curious to see that because apparently it's one of his childhood favorite movies of all time.
I guess the studio probably hired him to make it an animated film, but maybe they love the script so much they're like, let's make this a movie.
Yeah,
make a ton of money.
Yeah, make a ton of money, I'm sure. Bob Odenkirk actually had a mild heart attack, but he's going to be okay. But that was big news this week. So he collapsed on the set of Better Call Saul and was rushed to the hospital. But he's shaping up. He's going to be okay, and he's coming back soon.
Good for him. Sci-Fi is celebrating Harry Potter's birthday and National Doll Day with Harry Potter marathons and Chucky marathons. What a contrast.
That is wild.
I mean, completely different things.
Hey, man, you got to hit all the audience numbers. Tom Hanks just joined Bill Murray and Tilda Swinton and Adrian Brody to star in Wes Anderson's latest movie, which is going to be shot in Spain.
I think he could definitely be suited to that
Yeah, I would
style.
love to see Tom Hanks in Wes Anderson because Tom Hanks, got his start as a comedian doing stand-up, and he's excellent at comedy.
He's very funny actor.
Despite doing probably a majority of drama roles throughout his career since then.
He started in comedy, though.
Yeah, but
he was doing like Turner and Hooch and Big and movies like that.
Yeah, so he's a great comical actor.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, and that wraps our movie news number 9 for this week. Hope you guys enjoy
big week.
The episodes coming up, and recommend seeing The Green Knight. We just saw it the other night. It is phenomenal. So stay tuned for episodes we have coming this week. We'll probably do a bonus episode on The Green Knight, and yeah, we have some great stuff coming.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Raiders of the Lost podcast. Be sure to subscribe if you're new. Hit the like button, leave a comment. Find us on all audio streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find us. Find us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Raiders of the Lost podcast. Be sure to check out one of these other videos right here for more content on our favorite films and breaking down all kinds of movie content. Thanks so much.